we've been covering here. So, as I noted, the final thing I wanted to talk about was something related to a discussion that I ended up shortchanging um, early on in our coverage. So, I had a slide that I didn't present for lack of time, and maybe I should have, which involves laying out the modeling process, and then subsequent slides which elaborate on different components of this modeling process. What sort of processes you undertake at different phases here. So typically we start a modeling project with a problem conceptualization. What are our research questions? And to address those research questions, what's the appropriate boundary with which we might start? If we wanted to address these research questions to secure insight, what sort of do we need to have in the model, and where can we start as far as sort of adding that in incrementally? Okay? So often we're thinking here about what are the key sort of factors, what are their relationships to one another, and with the different groups in this room, we've been actually doing quite a bit of this over the past few days. Often we engage in a problem mapping step where we use things like causal loop diagrams, or we sketch out what a state chart would look like, or a stock and flow diagram. And that's not runnable. You can't run that and get output, but it describes at a high level sort of what things you might capture in your model. We then proceed to a model formulation stage where we have to make things very precise, although not always are we guaranteed that to be accurate. So we go and we associate particular values with certain assumptions, etc. And the model formulation stage often involves very detailed modeling to capture the phenomena of interest. A model calibration phase, which we'll be talking about next, involves sort of mapping the output of that model, either as a whole or pieces of it, to various empirical data, particularly to try to assess its goodness of fit and to assess the degree to which it captures empirically known patterns, but also to estimate parameter values that are less well known. There's also further model testing phases, and then use of the model for policy evaluation and for knowledge translation in terms of bringing insights to stakeholders, etc. What I wanted to highlight here in just a couple minutes was this issue of problem conceptualization, because it's been my observation and the observation of the TAs when we were talking recently that there may be some features of the problem conceptualization stage that merit further discussion. And I take responsibility for the fact that I went a little bit light on this area because of time constraints. And so I want to revisit that and expand a little bit. We talked about that models are problem specific. They're research question specific. Typically, there's a need to use the purpose of the model as a logical right to cut away unnecessary complexity. One of the big dangers in database modeling, as I've noted, is it's very easy to create a model that has too many features in it. And there's a principle we use in software engineering, it's called the Yagami principle, get ancient and evil, which basically tells you, okay, start simple and add as you develop confidence and understanding of the program or model. Don't just throw things in from the beginning. You throw things in from the beginning, it can become a hairball you don't get a lot of insight from. You start simple, you add things one by one, you've got the learning, and you're making sure that you're not introducing bugs as you're building up the model. But a key step that I didn't discuss explicitly, it was implicit in some of my comments, but I realized that I've done you a disservice, is discussing this step of unpacking the causal pathway. Very often we start with a set of data that we're interested in explaining, or a set of data that we're interested in a model using or matching or otherwise making use of it. And it has to be compatible with it, certainly. We have all this empirical data, and we're looking for a way to turn it into actionable input. And that's great. But you have to understand two additional things about these models. They're not, that in their formulation, there's a large emphasis not only for the importance of data, but of understanding of the structure of the problem, how factors in the world relate to one another, as described by hypothesized causal pathways. In other words, how do we believe plausibly things may be working there in the world to explain and what causal patterns underlie the data that we've actually observed. So while our interest may be predominantly in certain observable inputs, certain observable factors, maybe controllable factors, and in certain outputs that we can measure, often we have to reflect on the fact that there's a set of processes operating out there in the world. Sometimes they're known more precisely, sometimes less precisely, that are giving rise to the patterns that we see. And often these pathways are of great relevance, not because we're interested in them per se, but because they serve as important mediators for outcomes that we wish to simulate in the model. And an example of this is work that I've done together with Judy Brooks-Dunn at Columbia, looking at impact of housing voucher intervention. We were involved in this from a data collection angle, although we also had proposed doing some modeling in this area as well. We haven't gotten all the way to that phase yet, but here we're interested in outcomes that include predominantly obesity, but as secondary outcomes, crime involvement and graduation rate. And what we see in studies like the Moving to Opportunity study in the States is a fairly mixed bag of outcomes. So in Moving to Opportunity, a large-scale housing voucher intervention study, we saw as a result of moving people from low-income communities to mixed income, favorable obesity changes, that is, lowering of obesity rates among teenage girls, lowering of involvement in criminal activity, and improvement in high school graduation rates. Surprisingly and perplexingly, among high school boys, we saw no real significant difference in obesity and high school graduation, but adverse effects in terms of criminal activity. So those move to these areas with mixed income, reversely almost, with teenage boys who seem to have no real strong gains and actually adverse outcomes in one measure, criminal activity. And people have advanced a variety of hypotheses for why this is. And those hypotheses have highlighted different particular pathways by which the effect of an intervention over here might be affecting these factors down here. And if we wish to simulate a system such as this to capture the trade-off between different housing voucher intervention designs, the eligibility and where they're moved to, and how families are treated and family networks, and the age of children involved preferentially, etc. We need to think some about these causal pathways. Our interest may not be per se in the pathways, but instead on the outcome and obesity level. But if we're aspiring to a model which allows us to ask what-if questions, what if we vary the size of the housing voucher study? What if we were to divide the people up and to spread them out more evenly in a mixed income community rather than concentrating them? We're going, in order to arrive at reliable insights, we're going to want to try to spend some time thinking through these causal pathways. And so an important step in building up a model like this is to think about at a concrete level, at a mechanistic level, at a level of kind of how things work in the world, is how I described it in the first day. We want to be thinking about, okay, in what ways does an intervention end up affecting these outcomes? Fortunately, in this case, there have been many contributions in the literature that have advanced understanding of causal pathways, and that have advanced explanations for some of the outcomes that are competing with one another. Some of those involve the impact of the intervention on accessibility of healthy food, because the new neighborhood, the old neighborhood may have been a food desert, the new neighborhood has grocery stores available, rather than convenience stores. It has a broader set of options as far as produce and healthier meals. Whereas the old neighborhood may have been beset by a high concentration of convenience stores and fast food restaurants and grocery stores with good healthy food may come far away and inaccessible both financially and logistically. So here, healthy food may be a thing through healthiness of diet is predominantly leading to obesity reduction in teenage girls. Other hypotheses have advanced, greater neighborhood walkability and perceived safety, which lowers sedentary behavior and enhances physical activity, and that's contributing to obesity, lowered obesity levels. Others have advanced the fact that, dislocated from their old neighborhood and moved to a new community. Social networks for teenage girls are not as well developed outside, so they spend more time at home, they eat more home cooking, and as a result, obesity levels are lowered as a result of that. In any case, these causal pathways can be very important mediators or moderators in some cases to the outcome. And as a result, we have a situation that, to really ask effective what-if questions and expect a meaningful result, we want to represent these supportive factors in our model. So for those of you for whom I've engaged in your modeling project, you may have noted individually that when I talk with you about the situation, I try to get a mechanistic understanding for what's going on, understanding not just what data is on hand, but sort of what leads to what. What are the fundamental interactions, not in terms just of people, but in terms of underlying processes that may drive an outcome. And I haven't suggested throw them all in at once. I've suggested, okay, let's go in a step-by-step fashion, let's capture this, and then we might capture this other thing. But the point is that while the data may be focused, up here and up here in terms of outcomes, it's often the key set of factors having to do with the causal pathways that are most at issue. And I gave an example here. Another case was a research project to which we were solicited by one of our project funders, which involved interventions in rural China. And here we were dealing, again, with outcomes that were highly measurable at a biomedical level, in this case, incidence of diabetes, type 2 diabetes. But again, there was a set of pathways involving social networks and dietary balance and physical activity that were effective mediators for these. And we were anticipating both modeling and data collection innovations that would allow us to tease apart the influence of these different pathways and allow us to more reliably assess the benefits of different types of interventions within the fabric of rural China. So these were different scenarios where we needed to worry about the causal pathways. But this is central to this sort of modeling. We want to be able to ask what-if questions. We want to be able to ask counterfactual what-if questions that have never been perhaps empirically observed before. And to do that reliably, we need to make explicit our representation of how things work, of the mechanics of these pathways, so that we can, when we tweak something up here, we can see how it ripples through to these outcomes. And so, while I emphasized early on in this class, that you could add parameters to people's model and capture data in that form, and while we'll be talking about calibration now, you should recognize that much of the art of modeling and much of the work of modeling is spent in dealing with some latent factors on which you might not have explicit data right now in hand, but which you believe from the literature or from direct participant self-report, from qualitative studies, maybe serving as potent elements of the causal pathways that are working to give rise to the data that you do have. So unpacking into these pathways is one of these key steps early on in the modeling process, and specifically relates to this problem conceptualization phase. We're often sort of sketching out or articulating the basic pathways involved. And then, in a given iteration of the model, we'll put in one or two elements in the pathway, we'll examine our learning from it, and then we'll come back and add more in and examine our learning from it. So here, these latent variables are often, foremost in the minds of a modeler as to sort of what do we need to add next to capture an additional interesting interaction of interest. And over time, you tend to add more of these to see if you can capture more and more some of the patterns that are seen. So I realized that I didn't talk about this early on, but it's a very important component of the modeling process. And for that reason, I wanted to open up the floor here to any questions in case there's a need to further unpack this concept. So any questions related to this? Yeah. 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 Yes. Indeed. Indeed. Yes. Okay, so I appreciate the concept that you're talking about. I do quite a bit of causal modeling in sort of more of a biostatistical tradition as well, and it involves quite a bit with studies that use Bayes nets or other formulations to try to end up with estimation of parameter values. So I appreciate what you're talking about. And I think I need to make an important clarification point, which is the choice of the model that you're using depends a lot on the goals that you're seeking, for which you're seeking to employ it. And I would say as a broad principle that the goals of modeling projects are somewhat more varied than they are in causal modeling exploration, in the sense that some dynamic modeling projects, many dynamic modeling projects, seek not to precisely explain certain patterns of data, but instead to provide high-level insights that might help our thinking through how things might interact. A sort of classic example of this that we've been working with is the cell degradation model. That's not a model which is based on any particular empirical context. It doesn't depict, housing segregation in Detroit or LA, but it seeks to it's a caricature model. And like caricatures, the cartoons you see in the newspaper, they're terribly sloppy with a lot of details, but they capture a few essential features of the situation: a giant chin, a big nose, oddly shaped eyebrows, or what have you, in depicting someone. And often we deal with a caricature model to get very high-level insights. We wanna understand at a very basic level how the interaction of just two or three things might or might not serve as a potent explainer about why we see certain patterns. How might these things be interacting in the world? And a model like that, a stylized model, can help us think through those implications of those interactions. It's a thinking tool. It's not being used to explain the data per se, but it's being used to advance the plausibility of the fact that we may be seeing certain interactions in the real world of significance. So a lot of models are not aspiring to the data grounding that we see in causal modeling and statistics. However, there are class models that do attempt to inform empirically rich, grounded understanding of the impacts maybe of interventions, or to explain certain trends that have been seen, or to assess the trade-off between certain structuring of social programs to inform study design, etc. And for those cases, you're absolutely right that a model that has incorporated a variety of causal pathways will typically be more explanatory and be more rich in its capacity to match simultaneously data of diverse sources. In a statistical model, often we're dealing with one or two output measures. In a simulation model, we have a wide variety of outputs that it needs to simultaneously match. We'll be talking about that in another half hour or so in our calibration discussion. Now, in those cases, you're absolutely right. A rich model can be a formidable research tool. And I would point in this sense to some of the work that's been done in related to, among other things, residential patterns of residential disparity involving race by Sandro Galea and George Kaplan, which is very data-rich model. I'm actually involved in that some as a collaborator, and in contrast to the selling segregation model, they're dealing with a model that is highly data-informed, that has dozens and dozens of data sources that are leveraged by that model. Now, that model incorporates a wide variety of causal pathways into it in a way that's tied with best evidence from the literature. And they've done a great job of it, of incorporating those elements. However, a model like that, my point about the incremental addition of factors is that when you aspire to build a model like that, and I do, in my work, I built many models like that. Those are my dominant form of modeling how to use. Not my own. Certainly created some very nice, for example, highly stylized models that have provided me with some neat insights. But for the most part, I'm doing data-rich modeling. How do I build those up? I still build them up incrementally, step by step by step, as a pragmatic fashion. It's not so much that I know at any one point I'm going to go off and publish something. I might not actually publish until I have a number of factors in it. But at each point when I add a factor in, it helps shape my understanding of what the model is, how the model is working, whether the factor I've added is in fact been captured correctly, and whether it has materially changed the behavior of the model. And I would argue that in the causal, in the statistical area in general, with methods such as stepwise regression, we have some elements of that in the sense that we will examine a given association between data, sometimes with fewer explanatory variables and sometimes with more, and sometimes adding additional ones will provide insight as to the reason that you saw certain outcomes for smaller numbers of variables. So this whole fact of backward stepwise regression or forward, adding things in, removing them, it provides insight. And in the dynamic modeling context, particularly the agent-based modeling context, it's critical for understanding, for gaining confidence that you've actually incorporated it correctly. Because the danger is, unlike regression models, where I work a lot with R, some work with SAS and SPSS as well, but R is my main tool, and with good R packages, it's very quick to sort of be able to specify the basic structure of a regression model and ask it to perform the analysis. By contrast, specifying an agent-based model can take quite some care. And as a result, as a pragmatic matter, as a matter of building confidence in the model, as a matter of incorporating factors in a way that you haven't engaged in some silly bugs, it is best to do that incrementally. And that's a practice that's not so much driven by theoretic considerations as pragmatic. It's what we do in software engineering. If we're going to build a big program, we don't just say 2 years from now we're going to have this great program that's going to have 15 different features and connect to 20 different types of data sources. We tried that years back, decades ago. I teach software engineering, and we've been there, done that, and it was it was a mistake. We've learned that these days most projects aspire to what's called an agile or incremental development style. You add things in, you observe, you test rigorously, and you do that in a step-by-step fashion. And so it is with these models. So it's a pragmatic practice. However, I will say this, and this is a key point, that when you engage in this pragmatic exercise, often it's not just a matter of pacing yourself and making sure you haven't made mistakes. That's a lot of motivation. But there is another big thing. Sometimes when you add factors in, you learn a huge amount. You see a big change from something you thought would have a small impact. And that forces you to rethink the situation, how it might be operating in your head. And as often as not, you end up with a different model at the end in terms of judging what variables might be important than you did at the beginning. It'd be a little bit as if in a stepwise regression factor, you started with a forward stepwise regression, you're adding factors in, and you saw a really huge association there. The data was much larger than you saw. That might lead you to go back and examine your data. It might allow you to sort of unpack some of the data to sort of distinguish two different factors that otherwise you had lumped together in some instrumental variable or what have you. So what I'm trying to say is there's often a learning process by adding things incrementally. And you end up with a model that at the end, say a year from now, that has 5 different factors in it. But there are different 5 or more informed representations of 5 than you would have had if you had just said a year earlier, I'm going to build a model with 5 factors in it, and that was your first milestone. Does that help? Okay. Yeah. Yes. Great point. Right. It's a very good point. And what I would say, and I'll be frank, the dynamic modeling field, I think so the dynamic modeling field is not as mature in terms of its development. I'm not suggest that it's infantile or something like that, but it's not as fully developed in the theory of model selection as is the traditional field. And so I have it off to my statistician colleagues because I do so admire the contributions they bring to bear. In the modeling, in the dynamic modeling field, we do have a notion of model selection, but I would say that the criteria used for it are often more heuristic in nature, in the sense that we look at a broad level of how well they explain the patterns in terms of some, R squared match, or in terms of sum of squares sort of match the empirical data, and we say, wow, this model seems to be much more explanatory than this other one, something like that. But importantly, I should note, and I'm shocked I didn't mention it early because it's an important component. We do also do a lot at this phase. In fact, it's up here with cross-validation. So there we take a model, we build a model with some data, but we have taken, before we build it with that data, before we inform it with the data, we've taken some of our data and put it aside. And we seek to build the model and then seek to what degree it explains this data that was not used to construct it. To what degree does it have predictive validity in anticipating data that was in no way presupposed by its construction, in no way used for its construction. And so that's one of the best modeling practices we could use is we evaluate the model against data not used to build it. We call cross-validation. We do it routinely. But the actual measures used to evaluate are often simple sort of matching measures for the data. There is a theory which I've helped contribute to, associated with where we use formal statistical methods, and you can have model evaluation criteria as part of that. So for example, I've done a fair bit of work combining dynamic models with Marco K. Monte Carlo approaches, and done some exploration of doing that together with reversible jump Monte Carlo, where we're actually iterating not only on we're not only incorporating within our MCMT model representation of numerical parameter values of model selection indices, and we can assess using Bayesian criteria the posterior distribution assessment for a given model. So I have done some work with that. It's less well developed. It's certainly less well explored as a general strategy, but it can be applied. Is that helpful? Other questions though about this whole issue of unpacking sort of these causal pathways. This is key. This is one of the biggest things you do with a model, with our models that distinguish them from classic regression models, for example. Sort of really unpack these causal pathways and think through each piece in the chain and try to represent over time, as we build up our models, try to represent these causal pathways. So other questions about this? No? Okay. I think then I hope that was useful. I apologize for not emphasizing that earlier, and hopefully those will be some reflections which you can consider in your project, and it might help explain some of my interactions with your group, where I want to talk about how things work. How does what's the way in which a vending machine affects is it predominantly just getting food from it and getting healthier food, or could it be keeping people using it? I'm thinking through these causal pathways of interaction. Yeah. There. Yeah. I further updated them this morning to enrich this particular component of the presentation. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. So thanks very much.